How's it going, everybody? This is me again, Chuy, one of the hosts of the podcast titled Exploring the Myths Behind the Legends. And I am once again joined by my good friend Monica.
Hi, guys.
So, Monica, we are, starting things off right away because I feel like we may have a lot to say since we're going to be talking about three different movies, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
So, we are talking about the last part of the Fear Street Netflix trilogy, which is none other than Fear Street 1666, right?
Yeah, and left me mind blown.
Alright, I knew you were going to like this movie.
Yeah,
And
love it.
We'll get into it in a little bit. But yeah, so since it is a trilogy and we've been covering the past two in the previous two episodes, and I guess we're going to try to go over or describe or give our impressions on how everything came together at the end for this. I liked doing this. I was thinking maybe doing this for other movie series. Like doing maybe like not all the movies in the series, for example, because if we did Halloween, it'd be like 10 episodes and just Halloween, like one season. But maybe pick like the best two or three and kind of just do this and kind of try to do what Netflix did with this event. I don't know what you think about that.
I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and remind our listeners, Monica, of our social media accounts. We have our Facebook under Exploring the Myths Behind the Legends, and we have our Instagram under Myths Behind LGDS.
Our Twitter, our Twitter is Myths Behind LGDS as well, and you can also email us at mythsbehindlegends@gmail.com.
All right. So we have our letterbox, which is also under Myths Behind LGDS. And a letterbox for the uninitiated in the audience is a movie blog type of website. You can join in there, make lists of movies you like, that you don't like, review movies, etc. So, once again, that is under Myths Behind LGDS. And we have our newest social media platform, which is TikTok. Which, by the way, Monica is not following us yet under.
No, I keep forgetting, but I'm going to do it today.
And I was telling her right now that I was all excited because I saw a notification like, Monica is following you. And I was like, oh, yes, finally. And it turned out to be some random lady that I have no idea who she is.
Oh, my God.
But I'm trying to figure out still, Monica, what kind of content to add on there since you seem to be the most TikTok savvy between the both of us here.
Well, sir, the only savviness I have is, like, how to keep getting thrown into the tarot card, like, universe of TikTok, and, like, have my cards were, like, every other second. I don't really, I've never posted a video. Like, literally, I'm just kind of watching, like, a creeper from the, from my phone, like, everything that everybody else is making. But we can figure something out. We can kind of, like, throw some stuff in the air and see, but I need to think because I have no idea.
Well, I'm getting some ideas brainstormed, and I'll run them by you off the air because I don't want people to make fun of us. But yeah, if they seem to be sound enough or good enough, we may do some of those. I mean, and they're like, what, 30-second videos, whatever, so.
Yeah, I've seen podcasters show snippets of, like, their podcast, like, but it's, like, the video of them doing it, like, live or something. Kind of like how we are doing it right now. Like, let's say we started a TikTok and we're just talking about the movie or whatever. They do that, too. But, I mean, I don't know how successful that would be.
What I've been trying to do is something called audiograms, and some of my fellow podcasters and Twitter gave me this idea because they were doing it. And so I've been doing it too, and it's okay. I mean, it gets a decent amount of views here and there. I mean, some of them do better than others, but I guess that's just the territory, So, trying to figure out how that works. But basically, I take like a 1-minute clip of our episodes and kind of put like a picture of it and music or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what seems to be doing okay. So yeah, the TikTok is under Myths Behind Legends. Add us under, like our videos, comments. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there that I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm taking quite a bit of time here, but. It's basically a cry for help. I'm trying to ask people who are more familiar with TikTok to help me out or help us out here because I have no idea what I'm doing. But apparently there's something called a duet or something.
Oh, yeah. So or a stitch, and you, like, you take a video and then you give your feedback on it. Or, like, you do, like, a reaction. So like the video's playing on one side of the screen, and then your reaction is playing on the other one. There's those two. Those are very popular. Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to figure out how that works. So yeah, join us and teach me a thing or two because I have no idea what I'm doing. And our famous worldwide website
Woo!
jingle. And by the way, I'm still gonna do the cumbia thing. It's just not something that's been in the cards yet, so to speak. But
Okay.
but I shall get that done sometime soon, my friend. Maybe for next season, because this is the second to last episode of season 4.
Oh my god! Wow, time flies.
Yeah, our next episode will be the last one, and then the one after that will be episode, not episode 1, but it'll be the first episode of season 5. So,
Okay.
yeah, you know, things are it's almost gonna be a year since we started. Do that next month.
I
It's
know.
a year. So
We did this during the Panini Press, and now look at how far we've come. Like that's...
I think we have come very far, but we can talk about that at next episode because that'll be the last one. So.
Okay. Sounds
Yes, our website is under myths behind legends mailchimpsites.com. Ooh, I like the little guns you did, Dan.
good.
They were drum hits. I thought they were doing like little, because you were pointing with your fingers. I thought they were like guns. Like.
They were little drumsticks. Yeah.
All right, so I need to go in there and update that website for sure. Also,
Cool.
I said I was gonna do it like maybe once every few weeks, but it's been like once every couple of months.
Oh no!
Well, I mean, full disclosure, my time has been taken up by other stuff. I mean, I have a music project that I'm working on that I'm hopefully gonna release in a few weeks. So that is taking up the lion's share of my time, my friend. So
It's all good. It's all good.
But-
No judgment here.
it shall get done. So, really quick, 1-2 sentences maybe on what you thought on the last installment of this Fear Street trilogy, my friend.
Revelatory. It was very like, damn. Like I feel for Miss Sarah Fier now. I'm just like, wow. Lots of plot twists and very satisfying plot twists.
Uh-huh.
So I loved it.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and take a little break. We'll be right back with our critique segment in which we will go more in depth about the movie as a whole. So stick around. We'll be right back. Alright, so we are now at our critique segment in which, like I mentioned earlier, we talk about the movie qualities more in depth, such as the acting, the directing. We haven't really covered the directing, do we? But we can do
that. That's true.
That's something we could do in the future.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the acting, the music, the plot, how nonsensical or great it could be, you know, so on and so forth. So, quick recap for the uninitiated, if you are someone that skips to the end of the books, like I am sometimes.
How dare you?
I have a habit of, believe it or not, whenever I buy a new book that I intend to read, because I have books that I've never read, that I guess like every other book lover.
Bibliophile, like myself, yes.
So when I find a book that I want to read, eventually I make it a habit to read the last page, always.
That's a sin.
I know, but I can't help it.
That's the biggest sin in like books. Like, how dare you?
It's completely out of context though. Like, I have no idea who those characters are. So like, oh, so it's just like, oh, you know, such and such, you know, whatever.
I can't do that. Like, I can't because I'd be like, it would ruin everything. Like, I want to know. I want to be surprised. I don't want to know what's gonna happen in the end. Like in life, why would you want to know what's gonna happen in your future?
Yeah, well, I sometimes make a very titanic effort to not read the last book the last page in a book, such as when I read the last book in the Dark Tower series, chapter or volume 7, The Dark Tower. I was like, no, I cannot read the last page of this book because I spent literally like 10 years of my life reading those books, you know. I read the first 4 because they had come out by the time I started reading it, but the last 3 came out until I was in, I think, in college.
Dude, I have the whole set, and I'm gonna be working on that. Can't wait.
People in there are like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? But, well,
I know.
What I was trying to get to is that
Chuy is masochist.
If you are like me and you skip the first 2 episodes, basically a quick recap, like previously on. Basically, what they do is, or what happens in this series of movies, a town named Shadyside seems to be overrun by tragedy and murder and misery, and nobody seems to be happy. Nobody can make their lives worth living because somebody always snaps every few years and kills like 10, 15 people in the town, and it kind of became a way of life, something they accepted, and well, I guess, you know, it's part of who we are, you know?
Yeah.
So, but they do feel like the town is cursed. Maybe even themselves as people feel like they have some sort of curse on them. And their local legend is that a lady named Sarah Fier was a witch in the 1600s that somehow or for some reason placed a curse on the entire town. As the movies develop, in the first movie we come across a group of teenagers who start finding out about this myth or this legend, you know, about the witch. And then they eventually find this lady that survived an encounter with a mass murderer in the 70s. They go to her. She tells them her story of how she survived. And then at the end of that movie, part 2, which is 1978, they determine that, well, we can reunite the hand of the witch with the rest of her skeleton, and that should cancel out the curse, right?
Yeah.
So then what happened is Deena, the main girl in the movie, she does that. She reunites the bones, and then she has a vision, and that's how this movie starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, first impressions. So what do you think of the scenery of the little Puritan 1600s Shadyside? Oh, back then it had a different name. I think it was called the Union, because it was both the towns still together, right?
Yeah, it was called the Union. It reminded me literally of the movie The Witch. It was very, like, weird. Like, it gave me, like, Handmaid's Tale vibes, like, in the beginning when they were, like, saying, like, oh, something about the fruits and stuff, and I'm like, what the are you guys talking about? It was very culty, but you could tell, like, so, I mean, obviously it's a Puritan town, so it's very religious, based on religion, and you have your priest, you know, the town's small, everybody has their little house, and everybody knows each other. You got, like, the town crazy person, the guy who's, like, hiding in the freaking porta potty or whatever that is, like, the old school porta potty. Sarah Fier and this girl named Hannah Miller, right, are the same 2 girls that were dating in the first movie.
Uh-huh.
And they're both, like, they're gay, they're lesbian, but they can't, obviously back then they can't say anything because that was, like, super, like, hardcore, like a sin. They give each other glances and stuff, and they're, like, kind of, like, talking to each other. The mom already kind of suspects it, and then that guy, I don't remember what his name was, that dude saw them. So he's already kind of like, I'm on to you, and, like, I know what you're doing or whatever. So there's that tension there. And then, obviously, it's in the 1600s, you know, that's when, like, witch trials were going on and stuff like that. And so they're all going to meet up. And you already know, like, this is not a good idea because these people are going to get in trouble for this shit because they could be accused of literally anything. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's where things start to get a little, like, twisted and things start to go bad. And then they start blaming everything on, oh, somebody cursed us or whatever. And then the witch hunt begins.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. When I saw the scenery in this movie, I immediately thought of The Witch, too.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of what people might think, because I keep saying that I don't like slow burns, but I like that one. The theme of the 2 girls dating, and especially back then, even now, I mean, 400 years later, it's still not... I mean, it's more accepted now than it was back then for sure, but still, I mean, it's...
But not by religious people, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's completely understandable how that would be a source of conflict. And actually, I want to bring you back to a point that you mentioned in the last episode, in which you said that it had to do with a guy being like a disgruntled lover, and you were kind of right about that,
Yeah.
because this guy, I'm not gonna justify him, because what happened to this guy, the ancestor of Sheriff Good, I think his name was Solomon in the
Solomon.
chapter.
Yeah. Piece of shit.
So Monica is not a fan of this guy, obviously. So this guy lost his wife and child in some sort of mysterious circumstances, like maybe an illness or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he happened to fall in love with Sarah Fier.
Mm-hmm.
But this love was not to be returned to him because she loved Hannah.
Exactly.
I will say this now. I was going to say this for later, but I happen to think that Sarah Fier is a direct ancestor of the main girl.
Yes.
And, of course, Hannah is the ancestor of her girlfriend because they have the same last name, Miller.
Yeah.
So, do you ever really hear Deena's last name? I can't remember. And I didn't look at it for this information on purpose.
No, I don't think so.
I was trying to remember if they ever mentioned her and her brother's last name in any of the course of the 3 movies, and I can't remember.
I can't remember either. Just Good and Miller and like...
They mentioned also their friends when they are reporting that they supposedly are responsible for all the deaths in the mall, whatever. Which it wasn't them. It was the ghost sent by the sheriff who, full disclosure, happens to be the descendant and main villain of pretty much the.
And he knows, and that's the worst part. All these dudes know about the curse and like about what they have to do. When you see the second movie, there's the Ziggy, right? And Good is over here, like, which is the sheriff all grown up, helping her, air quotes. But all along, he knows exactly what's going to happen. And his play, or his role in everything. He could have broken the curse, dude.
He could have.
But no. He could have, but he let it keep going. And, yeah, I detest that person.
I think by that point, he was directly responsible already. Because in part 2, his dad was already dead. So if this happens generation by generation, then by that point, he was the one in charge. Or the one that was going to carry on the bloodline, whatever.
You could have chosen not to do the ritual.
Uh-huh.
And then just, like, left it at that. Or not continued it, But this guy he got greedy, just like every other person out there. That's why he wanted to keep, like, close with Ziggy. And why he wanted to get information from Deena.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was a threat.
Well, we'll come back to that in a bit, but right now I want to talk about how this movie, I thought, was kind of a departure from the other two. And I think, actually, that in retrospect, each movie is kind of a tribute or a throwback to different eras of horror.
Yes, I agree.
So, 1994, the first one was more of a supernatural type of thing. It was about kind of establishing the lore and the mythology, whatever. So it had, like, the serial killers, but they were ghostly serial killers. And then you had 1978, which is, we talked about this in depth, pure slasher tribute.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This was based or paying tribute to Jason movies and pretty much every slasher summer flick.
Yeah.
And then this one, like you said, was more of a cerebral thing. It was more of a slow-paced, type, like The Witch type of thing.
Yeah. Which,
in my opinion, predictably enough, and you already know this, is I think this happens to be the weakest one of the three.
How dare you?
I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm still going to give it a decent score, but out of the three...
story. Like, this is what gives space to everything else that happened. Like
you mentioned, the sheriff was the one responsible, so it kind of throws me a curveball in the sense that, I mean, he knew in part 2 what was going on, and he didn't stop it.
Huh. Exactly.
So, I don't know. I feel like he could have been part of the family, but not the one directly responsible, and he might have been, like, the one to finally break it off. I think that would have been a little bit better story-wise. I understand why they did it like this, because, I mean, it's you know, it's a thing. But, yeah, I mean, out of the three, I think this is the one that, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I liked it. I like this movie, too.
Yeah.
But this is the one that I will give the lowest score to, and it's still a good score, Monica. Don't fret over this. I know you're giving me a look already.
I am. I'm ready to roll my eyes.
So I mean, it's definitely less gory than the last one, than the part two.
Yes.
Even though you don't see him do it, but you see the aftermath of the reverend or the minister, whatever it was, the preacher guy. He basically killed all the kids in the village.
If anything, yeah, this one's more like a suspense type of thing compared to the other ones that are more like slasher.
Do you still have other scenes like at the very end where they're kind of like the climax of the movie where they're fighting the ghosts or the whatever?
Yeah, but that's just action. Like, but yeah, like you said, the only gory scene in that movie was when all the dude, and I did not expect that. Like, I thought they were just like in a trance or something, and then you see them and all their eyes are out and they're all dead, and it's like, whoa, damn, that sucks. And they're all kids.
Yeah.
Children, like Jesus.
And I think basically every character in this movie dies, or in the series of movie dies at some point.
Yeah, that's
whether
true.
in the past or in the present or in the future, whatever you want to call it. I think everyone dies at some point, and that's pretty cool, interesting. I mean, it's a clever storytelling device, I think.
Yeah.
So, going back to the point you had about the disgruntled lover, I mean, this guy, he got this book from this lady who I didn't quite catch the reason why she was outcast. I think they mentioned in passing that maybe she had fallen in love with a Native American or something like that, and that's why the people in the village didn't want her around anymore. And so she got, like, what's that word? Not excommunicated, but she got exiled, whatever.
Exiled, yeah.
Yeah, so she got exiled from the settlement, and so she lived by herself. And by that point, she's a witch because she's got, like, books on Satan worshipping and cursing and stuff like that.
Yep.
So they find out this lady has magical berries or something that makes you high, and you know. And then this guy finds out she's got a book about summoning the devil and everything, so he kills her, gets the book from her, and this is how the whole thing starts, because he wants to be prosperous, he wants to turn his life around, again, after he lost his wife and kid. And then the new lady he had started to fall in love with doesn't love him back and never will.
Yep.
So that's how the whole process starts. But I still have questions about the curse. How does that work? Because at the end, you see them splashing blood on each of them, and they get them to turn like the killers.
Yeah.
So the killers turn on each other, and they kill each other, you know, and then they obviously come back to life. But so, how does the curse work exactly? Because the sheriff is the one sending them out, but they splash blood on him, and they come after him too, even though he's like their master.
So the curse is basically like a tracking thing for the blood of whoever becomes involved in trying to stop the curse from being fulfilled. Because, like, the only reason that they're being tracked is because they got close to figuring out what the hell was going on. So it's like a deterrent, basically. So that's why even if Good is the one, like, you know, the puppet master or whatever, by being marked by that blood or having that blood on him, they're gonna go against him, because it's like, that's the enemy. Solomon probably set that as like one of the contingencies or whatever of the curse, so that's what they're gonna go towards.
Okay. Well, no, like you make sense, but my question is, like, why didn't this guy think of like a provision against that? Like,
well, because he just wanted to get to the end goal, you know, like that's what happens with every villain in every story. It's like they don't really think everything through. They just think, I mean, and if they do, they're like masterminds, but like usually they just kind of like, this is what I want, this is how I know how to do it, and this is like the process or whatever of it. But they don't think about like other things that could happen that could probably like screw them over in the long run, you know, like they're just trying to get to their goal. So obviously he wasn't going to think about like, oh, if somebody like figures this out and it's my blood, it's their blood that's being tracked, they're going to dump it on like the person who's, you know, running the show. But they're just like, oh, I'm all powerful and nobody's going to stop me. Yeah.
So Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense in my mind now that you explain it to me like that. Because that was the question, like, why if this guy is the one that's controlling them, why are they coming after him, even though they have splashed the blood on him?
Yeah.
I would have thought, well, maybe they would have found or thought of a way to stop that from happening, but I guess not, because it's they apparently didn't think everything through, my friend.
Nope, they did not. That's why they're dumb and evil and will always lose.
Do you think that the curse is now reversed and now Sunnyvale is going to be the one with all the tragedies, or it's just over?
No, I think it's reversed, because now the way that I believe curses work is when you do something like that, you curse someone. Let's say you continue it, right? Like they did. At some point, if it's broken, all that damage that you did is going to come back to you. 10 times over. So yeah, now Sunnyvale is going to be the one that's cursed because of all the damage that their ancestors did. You
actually saw a little scene in the end, I don't know if you caught it, where they escaped the tunnels after they killed the sheriff. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
After they killed the sheriff Good, they come out through his house. Apparently his house was connected to all this system of tunnels under the city or the town. They come out and some dude looks at them like, oh, who are these people? And like he kind of gets on his car and he's pulling out his driveway and like a truck runs him over.
Yep.
And that was like the first accident in Sunnyvale ever, apparently.
Yeah, and exactly. And then that's when all the truth comes. It's like, oh, the Sheriff Good was the serial killer and blah, blah, blah. Like everything flips. And then if you notice, the color also of like everything that takes place in, I want to say Sherryland. I know it's not. It's Shadyville. It just turns normal. It's not dark anymore. Everything's like that darkness lifted, so they can live their lives like normal people now. And that's like another sign from like the cinematography or whatever, like as like, okay, now you can see them in like their true light. Everything's okay because the lighting changed. So yeah,
I didn't catch that actually, so thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
I didn't catch that the lighting had changed, so it probably had to do with the 6 beers I had down, but okay. Because I drink a little bit to kind of, when I'm watching movies, it kind of just helps me relax.
A little bit, sir. 6 beers does not sound like a little bit. It sounds like a lot.
Spaced over 2 hours, it's really not, it's not really anything. Well, it's about 3 beers per hour, so, whatever. But thank you. I hadn't caught that actually, but now I was going to ask you, who do you think? Well, before I get to that, one of the mysteries that was never really solved in my eyes was the message board, the chat room mystery. But there was that girl at the end that signs the guy's cast, and it's the username of the one that he talks to.
The Queen.
Queen of Darkness or whatever, right? Queen of the...
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that?
I was like, damn. Like, he got to meet the person that he esteems the most in that chat room. And they go to school together. Like, wow. I wonder, I mean, she obviously knew who he was. She knew.
You think so?
I think so, yeah. Otherwise, she wouldn't have written on his cast with something that only he would have known. Yeah,
and speaking of that, not that so much, but how easy was it to get the janitor on board with?
Dude, I know. Well, he hated the sheriff. Like, I would have been like, too, if this freaking guy was screwing me over all the time, arresting me for dumb shit, like, after knowing that I didn't really do anything, yeah, I would have it out for him, too. I'd be like, hey, sign me up. Let me go get my coat real quick. Let's go shoot up. Like, and I mean, at first he kind of saw it as a joke. He was like, oh, these kids are just fucking around. Like, they're not being serious. And then he was like, wait, okay, for real. Like, what's going on? And then he told him, and it was like, okay, damn, yeah, I'm down. Let's do this. I would have wanted to go against the sheriff too, but it's funny because it's like they were in that mall for a really long time and they didn't get caught until like things started to go down. It's like Shadyside was really up then because like people break into the mall and nobody bats an eye. Like what?
Yeah, it was a good 15-20 minutes until the cop showed up.
Maybe longer than that. Probably like an hour or two.
Well,
like
in real time, because as they're, yeah, you're right. It probably was a couple hours in movie time because they
Yeah.
had spray painted all the walls and everything like that. So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a bittersweet moment for me to see these characters, tell them goodbye because I spent 3 weeks with them. I was already getting invested and I want to kind of find out what happens in their lives. But I told you this last episode, there's going to be a cliffhanger. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see the cliffhanger. What happened? Tell me.
Monica, remember one of 21st century cinema is that you always watch all the way through the credits, because if there's anything that we learned from the Marvel movies.
Yes, that's true.
And it wasn't even after the credits, dude. It was like right after the ending. Like maybe like 30 seconds like after the first credit showed up, then it shows up, the scene of the cliffhanger, and then the rest of the credits show up. So
what happened? Tell me. I didn't see it.
So what happens is the girl Deena drops her brother off at school, and then she goes off and she has a date with her girlfriend, I think Sam is her name, in the forest, in the woods, close to where the witch is buried.
Yes.
So she gets her the gourmet meal of Burger King takeout. For their date. And then you kind of see the camera panning out, and it travels through the forest, this and that, and then they get to the cave system. And I caught this, and I knew it was going to be an issue, because when Deena ends the sheriff, the book is there, and she doesn't take it. She leaves the book there. Oh. So what happens is, you see a mysterious pair of hands take the book and run with it.
No!
The witchcraft book, whatever, so.
I bet you it's the brother.
That would be my number one suspect.
Who else would know about the curse? The brother.
Yeah, that would be my number one suspect.
He's a mayor, so... yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you, speculation, I mean, you already said the brother, but if you could think of anybody else that might be willing to continue this curse, or maybe do something different with it.
Maybe Ziggy or Mary.
You see Ziggy going to the nurse and giving her, I think it was her sister's journal, or the girl's journal. That was right before the ending. She meets up with her and she gives her like a journal. And I can't remember whose journal it was or what notebook it was, but I don't know if it was Mary, because I guess she had finally been at peace with the idea that her daughter was dead, and especially after getting that notebook, so I guess she would have a reason or a way to know what happened.
But who else would it be? Like, there was nobody else.
That's what I'm wondering. Who else could it be? Because, I mean, the sheriff is dead. The number one person would be the brother, like you said. So I'm trying to think of somebody else, and I can't think of anybody that might be the next curse bearer, or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, it could have been Ziggy, because, she went through some shit, so maybe she wants to see if she can bring somebody back. Like her sister.
Interesting theory.
Yeah. Other than that, because that's the only other person that knew about that book, about the curse, about all that stuff, besides Mom, besides the nurse lady.
Well, there was a police tape line, so the cops had been there. There was like an evidence line, whatever. That yellow tape that they put on The area was surrounded with it, so I don't know if a cop, but that would make no sense. I mean, to me, it would have to be someone that's connected to the story already.
Yeah. I don't know. Because nobody was really like, the dad never.
I thought of somebody. The only other person that maybe could be the owner of the pair of hands is the girlfriend's mom.
Maybe.
Because she doesn't approve of her daughter dating Deena.
True. But isn't she also, I mean, I don't know, she never mentioned her as being religious or anything, but like she sees lesbianism as like a sin, so maybe, I mean, I don't think so, because she seems like pretty like biblical or whatever, like.
I don't know, so that was a nice little point of speculation, because I'm anxious to see what they do with that, if they do anything with it. I hope they do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they could, like, I mean, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people watch this, and especially people from like that generation, like the age of the actors and stuff, like people from like that are like, a couple years younger than we are, like 10 years younger than us, because it was more like a teen movie, so I mean, obviously we loved it because we grew up with that stuff, but so for us it was like a what's that word? Nostalgic type of thing. But I don't know. I mean, they could keep going. There's plenty of books to base these movies on, like a plethora of ideas. So I hope they do something else because that would be really cool. I could keep watching this show like till the internet dies. You know, like I'm down.
Same here, my friend. I would want, if not another trilogy of movies, and maybe like a series, in which maybe each season or focuses on a book or maybe even an original story, because this guy is still writing books and stories in that universe.
But like the shady stuff is really cool. Like all those books that they wrote were amazing. Like especially the cheerleader one would be really cool because that one is also a trilogy, I think. And that one's intense. Like, you know, there's a lot of drama, a lot of conflict, lots of like TV worthy stuff. So if they did that one, dude, I'd be there with my popcorn like, hell yeah. I hope that they do that one at some point because that one was really good. That's a really good trilogy.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully they continue making movies or series about this universe of stories, of books, and especially if they're of this quality. I mean, this was a really good, in spite of what some people are saying. You know, of course, every movie has people that don't like it and like it, so on and so forth. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done as a whole. I do think I kind of wanted something different at the end, but I'm not like being nitpicky here. I think it was just like me personally.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there's a whole bunch of other stuff they can do, and if it's done in the same way that this was done, it's gonna be exciting to see where they come up with.
Yeah, man, way to go, Netflix. They've been popping out some really good stuff. Like, I definitely approve, and I like the cast. I really did. Like, these people were not trying too hard. Like, there's sometimes when they do stuff like this, like the acting's just off, but it was really good. And I recognize, like, you know, I think it was just two people out of there, both women, like actors that I already knew, actresses, and they're great. That girl Ziggy, the grown-up version. Oh, also like it was the Stranger Things chick too, the redhead.
Yeah.
But like she was already in a Netflix show, but like and also her as her older version. That girl is in another show called Love. That's really good, and she's also in a couple other movies from Netflix as well. So, and then obviously the nurse lady, she was in a show called My Boys from TBS. So, it was cool seeing her back on the screen because I haven't seen her in so long. But I liked it. I love this thing.
It's cool to see young actors stepping up, I guess is the term I was looking for, because they did a good job. I mean, obviously it's not Oscar worthy, like, oh my god, but it was good. It was really good. I was expecting to be not disappointed, but I wasn't, like, you know, I was being careful with my expectations when I first jumped into this. But now that I have seen all three of the movies, I think it was really well done, and I hope, with all sincerity, they keep making more.
Me too.
So, you have any other final comments, my friend? Any other plot threads or anything you might want to talk about?
Nope.
All right.
I think we're good.
Cool. So, yeah, that was kind of a bit of a conversation we had there about this series of movies. But, yeah, let's go ahead and give it a score for this movie. And then let's go ahead and give the whole trilogy a score. Why not? You know, since we're at it.
Dude, trilogy's already a 10. For this movie, I'm going to go with a 9.
All right. So you give the trilogy a 10. I give this particular movie. You forgot to let me state the units, my friend. But that's okay.
Right. True.
I forgive you. You're you're okay. So this movie for me gets. Okay, I'm gonna be a little generous here. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Okay. Satan worshipping sheriffs. I was originally gonna give it a 7, but.
Satan worshipping sheriffs.
So this gets 8 out of 10 Satan worshipping sheriffs, and I gave the whole trilogy as a whole a 9.
Okay.
A 9. So it's combined. Our powers combined to give this movie or this trilogy rather, a 9.5 out of 10.
Nice.
And it's not just a nostalgia speaking. At least not for me. I thought it was a well done project, and of course, it's gonna have people that don't like it, and that's completely fine, understandable.
Yeah.
But don't diss it until you see it.
Had I not read the books, because I haven't read them in years, dude, so I don't remember most of the stuff that happened. But so that I still thought that these were great. You don't have to read the books for this one to actually appreciate it.
No, I hope that this movie has that effect that actually makes people want to seek out the books, like a newer generation of kids, you know?
Then they're going to be so much more expensive. They're like $5 right now.
Well, no, because they're going to read them on Kindle. I mean, hello, Monica, this is the 21st century. Like,
Never. I need actual books.
Yeah,
I can't do the electronic stuff. I need to feel the pages as I flip them, you know?
Yeah, you gotta smell the paper.
Yeah, that too. And they smell so good. Like,
That's
old
the thing.
books smell amazing. I f***ing love it. Yeah.
That's completely a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Book
takes
smell
you
is
back.
completely a thing. They should make air freshener out of like old book smell, dude.
They should. Like, you know what I miss the most? It's like hanging out at the McAllen Public Library before they remodeled it, the one off of Maine.
Oh yeah, the old one.
That library was so old, but it was so great. Like, oh my god, I miss that smell. And I remember taking books out of there, and they just had this special smell that was just like, you knew they were aged. I don't know, man. It's gets me a little high. Like, it's the best. I love it.
And do a Kickstarter, a GoFundMe for air freshener of old book smell. With, of course, our Chupacabra logo as the image.
Yeah.
Him reading a book instead of tagging a wall with graffiti. So gonna be holding a book, maybe a monocle too. While we're at it. Alright, so that was our critique segment for Fear Street 1666 and the trilogy as a whole. Hope you guys enjoy that. We shall come back with our Know Thine Enemy segment. We don't have an academic segment today, my friend, because we talked about the background of the books in the last episode, so you want to hear about that, check that one out too. And yes, we'll take a break. We'll be coming right back with the Know Thine Enemy segment. Stick around. Alright, so we are now at the Know Thine Enemy segment. And for first-time listeners, is a segment in which we discuss the villain more in depth, their motivations, their goals, their origins, etc. Right, my friend?
Yes, sir.
So in this case, I was surprised to see that it was not Sarah Fier that was the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But rather the Good family. That's kind of is that irony?
I think so. And good is evil. Bam.
Yeah, as they spray painted in the mall, I noticed that.
Yes.
Good is evil. I don't know if you saw this movie named Vampire in Brooklyn.
No.
It was with Eddie Murphy. And I think it was either directed or produced by Wes Craven, the guy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
There's a scene, Eddie Murphy plays a vampire, obviously, a vampire in Brooklyn. And there's a scene in which at some point he needs to go into a church. Mm-hmm. And he can't because he's a vampire, but somehow he gets in there and like he's suffering, whatever. But he manages to convert, like make people in the church sing like a song, "Evil is Good." Because he's like, yeah, you know, without evil, good couldn't exist, and you need evil for good to survive, and that is why evil is good. And everyone's like, yeah, he's making a lot of sense.
Damn.
It made me think of that. I don't know if I'm just kind of shooting in the dark. I don't know if many people like that movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but it wasn't the greatest movie ever. But it made me think of that scene in that movie, and I was like, "Oh my god, evil is good, or good is evil."
You cannot imagine Eddie Murphy as a vampire.
It's an interesting movie to say the least. But yeah, I can't promise that you would like it. Probably won't, but you know. So the way that we do this in the Know Then Enemy segment is that we have a system of classification that I worked with scientists from Harvard University with. Or on.
Allegedly. Mm-hmm.
It's Harvard with a J. It was in Mexico. Harvard.
Ah, okay, got it.
Because in Spanish, the J is like a hard H, like Harvard. So it was with them that I worked on this. So basically, this family is considered to be dual-natured because they are just regular humans.
Mm-hmm.
They are not supernatural killers, they're not ghosts, they're not demons, but they can control apparitions or ghosts using satanic rituals. So, what do you want to call these beings? Are they ghosts? The killers that they summon?
I guess they can be because, like, when they killed the sheriff, they just dispersed, you know? Like, so they could be like ghosts.
I mean, they're not zombies. Cause
no, they're not.
They regenerate.
They do. Yeah, and they're technically just like apparitions of their former selves because they can appear anywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So I guess they are some sort of ghost or supernatural entity. The ones that they control. So, as we talked a little bit earlier in the previous segment, the origin of this family is the character of Solomon Good, who happened to have lost his wife and child, and then he fell in love with Sarah Fier, who, when he found out she was into ladies, he went pretty much insane and started to do all these rituals and summon the devil because he claims he wants to be prosperous and rich and good fortune to smile upon him because he's been dealt a bad hand or whatever. So, he got this book of spells from this witch, and I still don't quite understand her origin, per se. I mean, I know that she was part of that settlement at some point, and she was exiled, but I wonder if she was exiled because they already knew she was a witch to begin with.
Or maybe, because they do say that she was, like, buddies with, like, the natives and stuff, so maybe they taught her these rituals and the witchcraft. Like, there's lore in, like, all types of cultures, and, like, I know Native American... I mean, I don't know about Native Americans, but, like, let's say, were they Mexican? Like, there would be witchcraft involved, right? Because, like, we have that in our culture, and as well as, like, people from, like, other countries. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and, I mean, Mexican witchcraft is different from Eurocentric witchcraft, let's just put it that way.
But this is the thing, so the people they were naming, the demons, because they were all demons.
Yeah, they're all Christian demons.
They're Christian Catholic, yeah. So Catholicism and Christianity comes from the Spanish, and they conquered Mexico. Or places in Mexico, right? So
yeah.
They never really say what state they're in, right?
Well, in the books it's Ohio, but I don't think they ever mentioned that in the movies. So it could be anywhere, I think. Yeah. Unless I didn't catch that, but in the books it's supposed to be Ohio, so it's way up north by Canada. And I feel like it's got to be somewhere up there because it's a Puritan settlement, and the Puritans settled in the New England area, so it's got to be somewhere up there, I think.
That's true.
So, I don't know, like, that's one of the questions that I had at the end, but I mean, it's okay, because, you know, maybe they'll explore that more in depth in the possible theoretical future installments, so we'll see about that. So, like we said, his motivation was that he wants to prosper through the generations. He wants his family to be successful and rich and never have to suffer any misfortunes or whatever the case is. And so they do this at the expense of the souls of a few people that become killers.
Yeah.
Who in turn happen to kill a whole bunch of more people. So
from one sacrifice, it turns into like 20. So
yeah.
Yep. In the name of Satan.
So Their abilities, basically, they are just like we mentioned, regular humans, and they control these demons through the rituals in the book. But the thing is that they keep passing this ability to their bloodline, and it's always men.
I want to know who he shacked up with, like who Solomon married, because I mean, in order to preserve this curse, he had to start a family with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
have children, and bring that down the line with all the men.
Maybe the widow of the preacher guy.
Maybe.
You never know, dude. I mean, these are
True.
different times, smaller villages, so you could only have a.
You had limited choices.
Yeah, you maybe like you can count them with your fingers. I mean, okay, so I can marry her or marry her, but not maybe her too, I guess.
They always married younger, though. They would marry younger women because they were more fertile or whatever, or like seen as more.
Yeah.
It would be easier for them to carry a child than an older woman who's already had like 3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But remember, the preacher guy killed all the young kids that could have potentially grown up to become women for this guy to marry with. So.
That's true.
No, he didn't.
Oh, still teenagers there.
There's still a few, like, I think,
Party.
yeah, Deena's friend. I forgot the name of her character in the past, but her friend. In the future, she survived. So maybe, I don't know, maybe her.
Yeah.
Which would be a little creepy, but,
Well, that's how it was back in the day. Older men would marry freaking teenagers.
Yeah, like a 40-year-old guy marrying a 15-year-old girl.
Yes, it's disgusting.
Weaknesses. Basically, if they are soaked in the blood of the people that they sick their minions on, they themselves become a target.
Uh-huh.
As we explained in the other ones. So, but in addition to that, they can be killed with conventional means. I mean, they're just human beings. You can stab them or shoot them or whatever you want to do. And if you catch the last person at that particular time in the bloodline to be the curse bearer, whatever you want to call it, then the curse ends. As it did with Sheriff Good. So that particular curse ended as far as that family.
Yeah.
But that book is still out there, my friend.
That is true, and history can definitely repeat itself.
Definitely. So, now, do you sympathize with his motivations?
No, because I get that he was, like, struggling to, like, I guess, farm. But Homeboy had a choice. He could have come back to the settlement and been a part of, like, basically, he was in a family of priests. I don't know what he was, right? Because, like...
Yeah, I guess, I don't know if it was a businessman or something, or trade workers, because his brother kept telling him, hey, come back, you know, you can just work with us, and he's like, no, I want to be a farmer.
Yeah, he could have just gone back, and he would have been some sort of successful, you know, like... But no, he wanted to, like, make his own life, which is respectable, fine, whatever, do whatever you want. But he had choices, dude. He wasn't ugly. Like, he could have found another wife. He could have, like, just stayed the way he was. But he didn't. He was greedy. He was selfish. Which is why he sought out the devil. So no, I do not sympathize with him.
I don't sympathize with him either. I understand that when someone's in a place like that where they lost their family and then maybe they feel frustrated or angry at the world or whatever, so they try to find a way to get around that or get out of that, but I don't justify that he decided, you know what, let me just kind of deal with the devil and sacrifice the souls of the future generations of this town, and in order for my family to be prosperous and rich and for me to be happy. I don't think that's cool.
No, it's like what every capitalist in this country is doing. On the backs of hardworking individuals just to make their lives easier. That's not cool.
Now, the family kept this going for over 300 years.
Yeah.
Because by the time of the last movie, it's 1994, so it's roughly about 330 years, you know, give or take. So, the brother at the end denies any knowledge of this part of his family's history.
He knew. He had to know. He was probably next in line.
The sheriff doesn't have any kids, right? From what I understand. He's not married, the sheriff?
No.
So he's got no kids, he's got no descendants, so that's why the curse ended, quote unquote. But
Right.
I feel like maybe, yeah, if the brother decides to kind of step it up again and start it all over, this could be...
Because he had a family. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had to know somehow. Like, he had to have at least have an idea that something was up.
Yeah, or be like, dude, you're next in line in case your brother dies. You gotta carry on the family tradition.
Yeah, because he was the mayor of Sunnyvale.
Yeah.
The other, like, the prosperous, rich, like, happy-go-lucky town, whatever, where everyone's happy and nothing bad ever happens.
Yep.
So, I mean, he had to know something was up, dude. I mean, it just makes no sense to me to think that he's like, I don't know what my brother was doing without, killing people, like...
Bull. He knew. Definitely knew.
I felt that, like I said earlier, I think the ending could have been a little different, but I can't explain or express in words what I was kind of looking for.
Okay.
I just wish that it was a little different. And again, I didn't hate the movie or the ending, but I just kind of wanted something a little different. So do you think something else could have been done differently, or you were happy with the way it ended?
I mean, I was happy with it, with the whole thing, in general, like the entire trilogy. I think, I mean, it was pretty good. Like, I kind of wish maybe Ziggy had more involvement in the thing, because she did have like a connection with the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it was pretty good.
I think that story could have been given a little bit more development too, as far as, like, I mean, they didn't talk to each other for a long time.
Yeah.
After the camp incident, I don't think they ever spoke to each other again until, like, he left her that note that it's happening again, whatever.
And I wonder, like, did he want to end up with Ziggy, and that's why he didn't marry?
I think so. I think at the end you just kind of see him when he gets to her in the mall. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And he looks all like, what's that word? Not disappointed, but he was like, I think surprised, but also kind of like not starstruck. What's the word?
Concerned.
Huh?
Concerned.
Like, he looked happy to see her, or
okay.
Emotional about emotional. I guess it's, but there's a word and I can't think of it right now. But he's like, what? And he kind of looks for a minute concerned about her safety. Like, why are you here? Like, what's it like? What are you doing? Like, so on some weird level, I think he did care for her in some way.
Yeah.
But I mean, his evil ways would not ever let her be with him.
What a jerk, like, he acted like such a good guy, and he was in on it the whole time. Like, what a douchebag.
Mm-hmm. Prime grade A bag of douche, my friend.
Yes, for sure.
So, you got any other comments on the Good Family? Any other questions you might have?
He was a jerk because he was freaking framing the janitor.
Oh, yeah.
Doing something that he didn't do. Like, racist much? Like, what the hell was that about? That's what I want to know. Like,
I think so. It wasn't really overtly mentioned, but I think that was the undertone they were going for.
Yeah, that's messed up.
How many skulls in the scare meter do these individuals get, the Good Family?
Well, I'm gonna go with the 7 because those people exist.
I'm gonna go with the 7 too. And I agree with you. I think there are evil people in the world that use other people to satisfy their own means, and they don't care about, or they're not concerned with anything having to do with anybody else but themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, that can be in any capacity. That can be in just about any place in the world. You're gonna see this. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not talking about summoning the devil, of course, but what I'm talking about is people taking advantage of others to boost themselves up and for their families or just for themselves to be successful and prosperous and rich. I think the bottom line when it comes to people like this is money. So
yes, money is poison, people. Sometimes it's so bad to the point that people do horrible things just to get what they want financially, and they don't care about who it ruins as long as it's benefiting themselves.
Alright, cool. So we give the Good Family a 7 out of 10 skulls on the Scare Meter. So, that was our Know Thine Enemy segment, in which we just covered the Good Family once again. So,
who's not so good?
Yeah,
but...
they're not, because good is evil. And we'll be right back with a special segment that I have prepared for us. So, taking a little break. Yeah, taking a little break. We'll be right back. Stick around. All right, so we are now at a special segment, and Monica's kind of looking anxious. But I mean, you know me, so it will come to no surprise to you that this has to do with music.
Of course.
So, I mean, full disclosure. Well, before I get to that, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever heard, Monica, of, when it comes to music, something called a concept album or a conceptual album?
Yes.
What is that, from what you've heard?
I don't know. I just know that they're called concept albums. I'm assuming that they're based on a specific idea, and that's the theme for the entire album.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Basically, that is the whole thing behind concept albums, is that they are... Basically, each song is, if you want to think about it, a chapter in a book.
Okay.
Or, I mean, so to speak. So they are developed or written around a central story, and each song tells parts of that story from beginning to end, of course. So there's been a lot of famous ones. The ones that I can think of right off the bat is Pink Floyd, The Wall. I think that was a concept album.
Okay. Oof, I love that album.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah, so that album tells a central story about, stuff that happens. And there's a few other ones. I mean, there's just way too many. I think even Green Day made one at some point in their career.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, I've never heard the entire album from beginning to end, but American Idiot was considered to be...
I was about to say that. Yeah.
A concept album. I've heard songs from that album, but I've never heard the entire thing in one sitting. Some of my favorites are... my favorite... One of my favorite bands, Dream Theater, it's made an album. And quick side note, on a side note, I got to see them perform their concept album live, which is called Scenes from a Memory, and it has to do with reincarnation and murder, and it's pretty interesting, cool story. But the album came out in '99, so I went to see them in San Antonio, Texas, in 2019 for the 20th anniversary, dude. And something happened. I mean, moisture was collected in my eyes at some point during the show.
It was a little humid that day.
Yeah, I mean the humidity in San Antonio was crazy, dude. Like, it was just like,
Man,
it was an experience, like for something that meaningful. Because I've been listening to that album for the past like 23 years already, 22, whatever.
Yeah.
But seeing them perform that album, and not only perform that album, but they perform other songs. So they played for about 3 hours. It was crazy.
I've never actually heard Dream Theater. Are they like? Is it just like instrumental, or are they also? Do they have vocal?
No, they have vocals. I mean, each album is different, so depending on, I can maybe send you a couple of links, some of the songs you might like to begin with, and then from there, because their songs are long, dude, like long songs.
Yeah, I know. All I know about that band is that I know the drummer played with Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
For a little bit after their drummer passed away, and I think I don't know if he performed on the albums or if he did just like some of the shows up until they found their new drummer. But I knew that. Like, that's the only thing I know about that band. Mm-hmm.
I think he played in one of the albums, the one that was made right after the guy passed away.
Nightmare? Yeah.
I think that was him playing in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a great experience. So if you ever have a chance to see one of your favorite bands or artists perform live, do it, because it's amazing. But what I'm getting to with this is that at one point I thought of writing a concept album, because I'm a huge nerd, dude. And I have so many ideas and just not enough time to bring them to fruition, so it's stalled. I have songs that I kind of thought about writing for this, and then I stopped because I have other music. I can't stop thinking about music, dude, ever. Like,
that's good. That's your thing, though.
If I could be a professional musician, with I can just dedicate my entire day to write music, I still don't think I would have enough time to write all the ideas that I have in my head. It's just crazy.
Damn.
I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm saying that it's great music. Don't get me wrong here.
I'm saying you have a lot of ideas.
I'm just thinking of a lot of ideas at all times. So people, I catch myself kind of tapping my foot, and people are like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, I'm kind of like doing this at work,
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm thinking about a song, I'm sorry, there's nothing wrong. I'm just thinking about a song, whatever. But what I'm getting to is that I had thought of writing a concept album about a haunted mansion.
Okay.
That was like the center point of like events throughout history in a city. And this is before this trilogy was started. So this is maybe something that I thought about like anywhere from 7 to 8 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I thought about writing a concept album about this mansion that somebody made a satanic ritual or demonic summoning or something, and they opened up a portal, And
Uh-huh.
throughout history, events happened that were centered around that house or that mansion. And I never really had a name for this project, but I wrote a couple of songs. And
Mhm.
the first song that I have that would have been the opener was called "The Origin of Fear," in which that would have been the established, like the kind of like the opening introduction, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And one of those movies was in like the previews. I think it was between part 2 and 3. It was like witness the origin of fear, and I was like that made me think. I hadn't thought about this song in a while, and I was
Mhm.
like, dude, that's the title of my song, with the origin of fear, because that is what I call this song, the origin of fear. And I have the song pretty much finished. I just need to. It's not been recorded, by the way. So I have the song written out in musical notation. Now I can't read notation, but I have it written in a different way that I can read it. But anyways,
Okay.
my point being that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a little demo of this song for this episode
Do it.
because it kind of connects. I mean, the ideas in essence are pretty similar. It's about some sort of demonic ritual that affects people through generations, and it's crazy how these movies came out and it just kind of brought everything back. And I was like, dude, like this is like my idea, and I'm not saying this stole this idea from me or whatever. Like, of course not.
Telepathy.
Of course
Yeah.
not. But if you want to cash at me, the royalties. Not just kidding. But it's amazing how people have similar ideas. I mean, and I'm willing to bet that I'm not the first person or the last person that would have a concept similar to this. But it's just crazy how things kind of come full circle in your life sometimes, and it's like something that somebody else does reminds you of something that you could have done or that you can do or whatever. But my
Mhm.
point, after rambling for like 8 minutes now, is that I have decided to record a demo of this, like the first half of the song, because it's the entire song's gonna be like 7-8 minutes, in the
Yeah.
spirit of Dream Theater, because Dream Theater has like super long songs. Uh, Listen to a song. Well, maybe not you. Yeah, well, you. Why not too? But they have songs that are like 25 minutes long. It's just crazy, and each section is just like amazing, dude. But anyways, so mine isn't quite that long. It probably would have been like I said about 7 or 8 minutes.
Uh-huh.
But I'm only gonna do like the first 2 or 3 for this episode because I mean, for one, I wouldn't have enough time to record it by the time that I edit the episode for this to release. But at the same time, maybe it'll work for motivation. Because at some point, I want to do eventually write the whole album.
Mhm.
So maybe this will be the kick in the behind that I need
Yes.
to push me to finish this. Dude, I have so many ideas. It's just crazy, man. It's just I'm releasing an EP, by the way. Like I mentioned earlier, I keep saying that. In a few weeks, so that'll be like my first thing. But I plan on releasing at least maybe once a year or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole idea of the song was something that was very similar to the concept of these movies, and that's why I decided, you know what, I'll connect the movies to my own personal experiences as a musician and the songs that I've written, and kind of do like a little 2 or 3 minute demo of the song, which will be called "The Origin of Fear," to connect it with the Fear Street trilogy.
Nice.
So that was a special segment. It'll play right after these, by the way. So as soon as I'm done talking here with you, I will play the rough demo. Please don't judge me on this. It's gonna sound a little crude, mind you, but still, I mean, I'll try to make it sound as best as I can, but it'll still be considered a rough demo for me. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. You too, my friend.
Of course.
And yes, so that was my rant for this special segment. I don't know if you got any comments or any.
No, can't wait to hear it.
All right, cool. So yeah, this will be the premiere of the song called "The
Dun,
Origin
dun.
of Fear." Yeah, the origin of fear. So yeah, hope you guys like it, and we'll see you for the closing remarks in a couple minutes. Stick around. Alright, Monica, le sad face, because we are now, once again, at the ending of our podcast episode. So, not only for this one, but for the entire Fear Street trilogy, and it kind of is a bittersweet moment for me.
Aww.
I mean, I know I can always go back and watch them anytime I want now, but... I mean, nothing beats the first time that you see a movie that you like.
Yeah, that's true. It's just... You can't... If I could erase my memory just for specific books, movies, or even songs, dude, I would, because it's an experience, you know? Like, it's amazing to see something for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And have you said songs, because I know you just heard mine and it just blew your mind, so thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was no singing, because I'm not really a vocalist. I can sing in karaoke, and I can kind of sing. Like I do shows here and there where I sing songs in public, and people give me tips. I guess they like my singing. But I never really have recorded anything with... I have, but I've never published it because it sounds horrible. But, yeah, so I want to thank everyone that has taken time to listen to us today. And if you haven't heard the last couple episodes, shame on you. You should go back and hear them, because they all pertain to this awesome series of movies. And while you're at it, why not run through the whole library except for episode 1. Do not listen to episode 1. And, you know, I was thinking of actually re-recording that one.
We could do that, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, have you on board for that one too, because I wouldn't want to just do it again by myself. So
By yourself.
that is why that episode is terrible. That is the only episode that I did by myself with no co-host. No Monica was involved in that at any point. So yeah, at some point, I mean, whenever you have some time off, let me know, and we can just kind of do... It doesn't have to be done in one sitting. It can do like a little bit at a time.
Okay.
Because that's, you know, I was thinking of, yeah, just re-recording it and just making it sound a lot better than it was conceived as originally. So, episode 51, Monica. Next one is 52, as we said, and it'll be the last one for season 4. How do you feel?
Well, I can't believe it. Time flies. Like, it's crazy that a year ago we started. It's been a year, right?
Roughly, I mean, it's maybe like in about 3-4 weeks, maybe like in a month, it would be a year.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Time goes by really, really fast. It doesn't feel like it. Like, I feel like we just started this. Like, it's crazy.
I know, but I feel like, honestly, we've grown a lot, and we've gotten a lot better at this, I think.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like, me for sure, for episode 1, was the most awkward thing I've ever done in my life. And I keep saying that, but please, not, like, you know that crazy movie, the crazy guy in the movies that tells the teenagers, don't go in there because it's cursed, don't go in there, you're gonna die.
Don't listen, and they don't listen, and they do it anyway.
And they go and they get killed and, you know, skinned alive and everything. That will happen to you if it goes to episode 1. Don't. I mean,
it's not that bad. I listened to it on my way to work, and you know, it wasn't that bad. But like, I do get, you know, yeah, you do go on for a while talking about stuff, and
yeah, for
somebody who doesn't know you, I can understand why maybe that would bore them. But like, I know you, so it wasn't, for me, it wasn't like boring. But you know, yeah.
Well, thank you, my friend. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, but for sure that's gonna have to be done at some point. And well, I want to have. Or I want to give some shout outs to people that, or, you know, things that have happened in my life recently that have been positive. So I want to give a shout out to the Superhero Thing podcast, because as I mentioned a few episodes ago, they made the 3D version of our logo, and I think I sent you that, right?
Yes.
So we made postcards from that logo.
Nice.
And I shall send you a couple of, my friend, your way.
I can't wait.
I shall put some of them in the mail for you sometime in the near future, and you shall be able to enjoy them.
Yay!
So thanks to those guys once again for creating that, and they gave me the idea to make this. And I mean, it's little by little. I want to start creating more little trinkets here and there, maybe keychains, and we'll see about that, because, you know. But yes. So Monica, how about you? Any shoutouts from your end?
No, I mean, just the same people from last time. Like, I just thank you, everyone who's still listening to us, who supports us, and who tunes in every Tuesday to listen to our podcast.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I second that motion. So, reminder, Monica, to our audience of our social media accounts. We have our Facebook under Exploring the Myths Behind the Legends, and we have our Instagram under Myths Behind LGDS.
Our Twitter is Myths Behind LGDS, and you can also email us at mythsbehindlegends@gmail.com.
Okay, and we have our letterboxd under Myths Behind LGDS as well, and that is a movie blog type of thing. You can follow us under, you can create your own account, make your own reviews, etc. So join the party on there. We also have our TikTok, which is our latest social media platform, which is also under Myths Behind Legends. And once again, cry for help, SOS, signal flare in the sky, you know. If you have any tips for us, any recommendations on how to create content for that, do email us, text us through DMs, etc. because we do need your assistance with this topic. Priority red. And we have our infamous URL, our website, which is under myths-legends.mailchimpsites.com. I like that rebellious strand of hair you had on your forehead for that.
Oh yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
Gave you a very 80s type of look. I don't know, for some reason.
Thanks.
Alright, so I shall give Monica the hint for our next topic. I know what the topic is. You don't know what the topic is.
I don't.
I kind of did an executive decision and chose this without consulting you. I'm sorry about this. This is the first and hopefully last time this happens.
It's okay.
Well, it's because it's our last episode for season 4, like I said, and it's something that I think is also a topic we got to talk about, as it was also recently released on Netflix, and that should be a big hint for everybody, because it's got to do with video games.
No idea.
A specific series of video games, mind you, from the 90s that Netflix recently made a series about, and, well, I think everyone would know what this is when I said that, so. But it's cool
Except me.
I mean, full disclosure, I already saw this, and it's a short series. It's only 4 episodes, so it's about 2 hours. It's about the same thing as watching a movie, so we can do this. And yes, my friend, I think you'll like it, hopefully. So, you have any other final comments, questions about the Fear Street saga, or anything else?
No, man, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad we watched it.
Me too, dude. I'm really satisfied with it. I want to give props to Netflix. I guess they deserve a shout out too for creating it. Because a lot of their content sometimes it's like, it's not that great. But this one, they stepped it up. I think they did a good job with it.
Did. I agree.
And it's something that is a fitting tribute to the movies that came before it. And hopefully the first step in a ladder of success for them if they decide to continue with this. I think they should, because a lot of times they start interesting stuff and they cancel it.
They don't finish it, yeah, because there's not enough use and not enough funding, so they stop it.
Yeah, so
it's frustrating.
I hope that is certainly not the case with this, and I hope to see more Fear Street projects in the future from them.
Same.
Yes. So, yeah, that'll be all for this episode. Once again, thank you for our listeners. If you are a first-time listener, thank you for joining us. We hope you come back for more. If you are a repeat listener, thank you for being a faithful member of the EMBL squad. And we will be mailing some of those postcards to some of you guys, so yeah, stick around. Or look forward to those, actually. Stick around. Okay, anyways, but yeah, have a great morning, evening, night, late slasher campsite experience. Puritan demonic ritual satanic summoning thing, whatever it is. Be careful who you call out in the night, because they might actually answer. So,
exactly.
Until then, be good to everyone, to yourselves, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.
Bye.